what we're eating over time, yeah? Because there's a lot of things in life we can't control. We can't control the weather, we can't control other people, we can't control being forced to see pictures of people's sphincters. Sorry, hang on. But if there's a way for us to improve what's going on up in our heads, emotionally, in our thoughts and feelings, then I think it's worth getting up on stage and showing a bunch of strangers your guts. Don't worry, I will not be showing you anymore. Thank you.
So, my name's Bec, as you heard, and I've been performing cardiac ultrasound for over 20 years. Now, I know what you're all thinking, and I did start when I was 5. I'm very, very gifted. So now I'm more into research and teaching, because you know what they say, those who can't teach, or those who can't do, teach. See, I can't even do. And my main area of research is a thing called strain imaging. And the reason that strain imaging is so cool is it picks up really early abnormalities of the heart. Now you might be sitting there thinking, why does this apply to me? Well, if you've got a heart, then this does apply to you. So, not you at the back though, empty cavity. So, what is my research all about? Well, let's start with what cardiac ultrasound's about. So this is a cardiac ultrasound. So it involves a probe on the chest, right? So my spiel is always the same to every patient. Everything from the waist up off, bra off if you've got one on, it does apply to some men, and gown on open to the front. I walk out, I wash my hands, I put my gloves on, I come back in, and what happens next? Sorry, I'm actually not allowed to say dick and vag. So I'm really glad I didn't say dick and vag, so someone wouldn't get offended from me saying dick and vag, so I've got to think of other words instead of dick and vag. So, I've seen so many pork swords and clams, you would not believe it. Do people think that their heart is behind their testes? Really? I have to tell you this story, and this is 100% true, it is not made up for tonight. I did my spiel, I went out, I washed my hands, I put my gloves on, and I walked back in. And there was a man who was old enough to know better, stark naked with his foot on my standing chair. Like, really? And he had nothing to brag about because my ultrasound probe was way bigger than his. So, if I can move the slides. There we go, it's working. This is an ultrasound of a heart. So, just to confuse you, we've got the ventricles at the top, and we've got the atria at the bottom here. So, left is right and right is left, and then we call the bottom the base, and the top the apex. You confused yet? Yeah, good, it gets more confusing, because we actually have, well, think of it like a mountain, right? But the mountain's upside down, because the apex of your heart is actually at the bottom. Does that work well? Oh yeah, it doesn't really work, right? So, if you have got boobs or man cans, it's no judgment. If you actually put your hand up underneath your left boob, you could feel the apex beat of your heart, okay? So as I said, I wear gloves because sometimes my hand on the probe goes somewhere where I can't see. But sometimes the gloves that I would really like are these. My friend actually thought that this was an actual photo of me. Yeah, that Photoshop is not that good, let's be honest. So, I have actually put my hand in places that I can't see before, and I have had a boob up to my elbow. They're kind of heavy. But one thing that I have noticed is that sometimes, not everyone, and I'm not being judgy here, I am really, if someone's got really big boobs, instead of washing underneath them, they tend to use powder to stop the chafe. The sweat, the powder, my ultrasound gel, all combined, it's like a perfect storm. It comes this slimy, stinky, cheesy, oh yeah, I want you to meet Mamarella! boob cheese is a real thing, and for anyone who does ultrasound, I know there's someone in the crowd tonight who knows about boob cheese. So anyway, sorry, back to the science. I got a little distracted. So we're going to focus on the pump of the heart here. Now, one thing that's really good about ultrasound is there's no radiation. So in fact, my slides are advancing themselves and it's giving away jokes. This is not good. So I'm going to go back so that you can just see the cheese. So with no radiation, that means it's really good for keeping all your hair. Well, for some people, just from the neck down, let's be honest. One thing that I have noticed about hair, because I see a lot of downstairs accidental areas, is that men over 70 seem to be getting more hair, and women over 70 have none. Is there some sort of laser hair removal clinic for over 70s that I've not heard of yet? Do they give free triple X's? Anyway, it's something to look forward to, but please do not ask my mum, because that's weird. Alright, so heart pump, here we go. So we're focusing on the left ventricle, which of course is at the right and at the top, because it's really at the bottom. And that little happy clapper in the middle, whoa, wrong happy clapper. Sorry, let's go back. That is so embarrassing. You can see from the enlargement of the left ventricle here that everything looks a little bit different, right? When we zoom it up, the speckle fingerprint, not as blooded and gross as those fingerprints, but it looks different. And so the strain technology actually uses this fingerprint to track it over time. Now, for all of you, you might think, well, why is that important? Well, it can pick up really small areas that are not working properly, and we can pick it up really early. Now, to some of you, it might look a little bit familiar, a bit fuzzy, a bit weird. I'm a bit young for this, obviously, because I started when I was 5, remember? But what we can do with each of those little sections of the heart muscle is we can put it into a bullseye. We can kind of squish it down like those fancy Tupperware containers that squish down, and we can make it into a bullseye. So this is not quite the same bullseye, but if you ever do find yourself with an arrow through your heart or a stingray barb, please don't pull it out. It could be blocking an important hole. And I know it's too soon, it's always going to be too soon, but if I save someone's life, I will tell the bad joke every time, all right? So no, the bullseye looks more like this on the right-hand side. So all red means that that left ventricle is working well. So how do we actually use this in the lab? Well, one of the diseases that we can use it on is a thing called amyloid heart disease. So amyloid is basically where there's these funky proteins in your body and they get misfolded. Think of it a little bit like a fitted sheet. Are they ever possible to fold? They are not. Now, all of these misfolded proteins in your body like to impart themselves into different organs, including the heart. And they shove themselves in a little bit like a stuffed linen cupboard, right? But for some reason that we don't really understand yet, they prefer going into the base of the heart rather than the apex. So, the strain pattern looks like what we call a cherry on top, where the apex is quite bright red and the rest is more of a dull pink. Can you see that? Can I make it more obvious? There you go, there's the cherry on top that we like. Don't eat too many of those though, because you'll be seeing me sooner rather than later. So, anyway, I just can't make the clickers work. There we go. We're going to go back to this view, okay? So again, we can actually use strain on other chambers of the heart. It's not just the left ventricle, okay? Happy clappers again. Yeah, let's ignore the happy clappers. So sorry. So our left atrium is what we're going to focus on, which is anatomically at the top and the left. But of course in my picture it's at the bottom and the right, just because, there will be a test at the end. Now that is attached directly to the lungs. There's no valve between the lungs and the left atrium. So if you've got high pressure in your lungs, then you can get high pressure in the left atrium. If you've got high pressure in the left atrium, you can get high pressure in the lungs. Now the way that we would normally detect a high pressure in your left atrium is a thing called the Valsalva maneuver. And that is technically called forced expiration against a closed glottis. Do you all understand what that means? Oh, come on. No one understands what that means. So to explain it to a patient, the way that I explained it, used to explain it, was to bear down like you were doing a poo. And then, well, you saw the emoji already. Code brown, cardiac investigations, code brown. So what we can do with the strain imaging is actually detect the high pressure in the left atrium without the extra layer of shit, I suppose, for want of a better term. So, before I go, I've got 3 take-home messages for you. The first is look after your heart and know that we're always here for you if you need us. Don't sit at home and suffer in silence. If you think it's a heart attack, bloody call the ambulance. Ugh, so many people. Number 2, I bet you never realised how hazardous a cardiac ultrasound job was, right? Between the boob and zol